Overspecification is a characteristic of medieval mathematical diagrams. The diagram at the left of your screen is overspecified in the sense that the right triangle is drawn as isosceles, even though the mathematics of the proposition does not require this to be so. Christian Karman from Argentina has recently proposed the hypothesis that such overspecification does not reflect the intent of ancient or medieval authors, but is a byproduct of the transmission process itself. He conducted a number of experimental tests to support his hypothesis. In these tests, he began with a diagram drawn according to modern perspective techniques, generalized diagram, which was given to student number 1, who was asked to make a copy of the diagram. Student number 1 makes a copy. This copy is given to student number 2, who is asked to make a copy of the copy, etc. And finally, at the end of the transmission process, at M, we reach a diagram which is very similar to diagrams we find in medieval Byzantine Greek manuscripts. This idea of testing is fascinating, but seems to me to embody some unwritten and unexamined assumptions. I come back to those in a moment. It also seems to ignore the fact that modern perspectives are the result of a historical development, and I illustrate that here with, on the left, a medieval diagram showing how to construct a truncated icosahedron, and on the right, a modern diagram showing the same procedures. And the two diagrams look very different from one another. This is what I refer to as a difference in perspective, difference in drawing conventions. Karman's hypothesis also seems to overlook the fact that in some, especially Byzantine, but also Arabic manuscripts, there are numerical values inserted which are consistent, completely consistent with an overspecified diagram, as we see in these two examples from medieval Byzantine manuscripts. Why would one insert such values if one didn't intend to see the diagram as overspecified? All this leads me to conclude that as historians, we owe it to our modern readers to edit, but not simply rewrite, our historical documents. This is true in terms of the mathematics, and it's true in terms of the diagrams that go along with the mathematics. We should edit the diagrams, but not just redraw them in the modern schematic sense as we see at the left of the screen. We should pay attention to the actual forms of the diagrams as they are given to us, although they may have to be edited. So my response to Karman in general is on 3 points. First, the testing assumes a number of characteristics which I think are illegitimate, or should be examined at least. It also ignores certain features of mathematical diagrams from the medieval period which should be included in the hypothesis to make it more complete. And to my mind, there are still important unanswered questions, such as if overspecification is a degenerate form, why did not mathematicians who copied manuscripts recognize this and correct it or modify it? And secondly, what should be the role of modern editors, specifically in regard to diagrams? Do we simply reformulate them in modern terms, or do we reflect the medieval process? These are questions which need to be discussed yet within the historical community.